1. Embrace change as life's greatest teacher, not its enemy. Marcus Aurelius once profoundly stated, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." In these few words, the Stoic emperor revealed a timeless truth. Change is not an enemy to be feared, but a force of nature to be embraced, even welcomed, as a powerful teacher. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life, every transformative moment, hasn't it always involved some form of change? Whether it was moving to a new city, starting a new job, leaving behind old habits, or reading a book that completely shifted your perspective, change pushed you forward. It pulled you out of comfort, stirred your thinking, and forced you to grow. Yet, most of us instinctively resist change. We cling to the familiar. We see it as a disruption, a threat to the routines we've built. But Stoicism flips that view on its head. To the Stoics, change is not disruption. It's instruction. It is how nature teaches us, evolves us, and tests our mental flexibility. When we treat each change as a lesson rather than a loss, we turn what others see as chaos into a classroom. Change doesn't mean chasing every new trend or abandoning what matters. It's not about becoming reckless or unstable. Instead, it's about cultivating a mindset that is open, adaptable, and curious. It's about training yourself to welcome uncertainty with grace and to ask, what can I learn here? Whether it's learning to use a new tool at work, facing a health challenge, or adjusting to the loss of something you once relied on, every change offers wisdom. Even the smallest shift, like taking a new route home or hearing a new idea, can unlock new pathways in your mind. Here's a practical Stoic habit. Pause when change shows up. Breathe. Don't flinch. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? That moment of inquiry can turn fear into insight, stress into strategy. By embracing change, not as a setback, but as an invitation to adapt, you train your mind to thrive in any environment. Intelligence isn't just about knowledge, it's about mental agility, the ability to reframe, relearn, and respond. So next time change knocks, and it will, don't hide. Instead, greet it like an old friend, knowing that on the other side of discomfort is a wiser, more resilient, and more powerful version of you. 2. Embrace discomfort. Where growth truly begins. When most people think of comfort, they picture cozy blankets, warm drinks, and familiar routines. And while these things bring ease, they rarely bring evolution. The Stoics, however, understood a counterintuitive truth. True growth happens not in comfort, but in discomfort. Imagine you're trying to learn a new language, play an instrument, or master a new skill at work. At first, it's awkward, even frustrating. Your brain resists. You feel like quitting. But this exact feeling, this discomfort, is the birthplace of real intelligence and wisdom. Stoic philosophy teaches us that discomfort isn't something to avoid, it's something to lean into. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The obstacle is the way." What seems to block our path is often the path itself. Every moment of difficulty is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Think of it like physical training. Muscles don't grow without resistance. In the same way, your mind doesn't grow without challenge. Every time you choose the difficult thing, facing a fear, stepping into the unknown, or persevering through failure, you forge mental toughness and sharpen your thinking. But let's be clear. Embracing discomfort doesn't mean seeking suffering for its own sake. It means not running away from the hard things that matter. It means recognizing that the things that make us uncomfortable often hold the greatest value. The Stoics didn't glorify pain. They respected it as a teacher. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." When you change your relationship with discomfort from fearing it to welcoming it, you unlock a deeper kind of intelligence, the ability to face reality head-on and adapt. Here's how to start. Pick something small that's uncomfortable but meaningful, like waking up earlier, speaking in public, or tackling a hard project. Instead of dreading it, reframe it. This is my training ground. This is where I grow. After each uncomfortable experience, reflect. What did I learn? What grew in me today? Over time, discomfort becomes not a punishment, but a signal that you're on the edge of expansion. So the next time you feel resistance, hesitation, or fear, don't turn away. That feeling is not a warning, it's a doorway. Walk through it and meet a version of yourself you've never met before, stronger, sharper, wiser. 3. Step back to see clearer. The power of deliberate disengagement. In a world that constantly urges us to do more, scroll more, respond faster, and never miss a moment, stillness feels like rebellion. But to the Stoics, stepping back wasn't withdrawal. It was wisdom. We often hear about the importance of engagement, engaging with our work, our relationships, our goals, and yes, engagement is vital. But there's a counterbalance that most people overlook, the need for deliberate disengagement. Imagine a painter working obsessively on a canvas. At some point, they must step back to truly see what they've created. Up close, the details blur. From a distance, clarity emerges. Our minds work the same way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Men seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea, in the mountains, but nowhere can a man find a retreat more peaceful or more full of rest than his own soul." This quote isn't just poetic. It's a practical call to retreat inward. It reminds us that the greatest clarity often comes not from doing more, but from pausing more. Today's hyper-connected world makes it hard to disengage. But without moments of withdrawal, our thoughts become scattered, our decisions reactive, and our creativity dulled. Disengagement is not weakness. It's how we reset, reflect, and return with greater strength. Here's what deliberate disengagement looks like in practice. Taking 15 quiet minutes in the morning before checking your phone. Going for a walk with no earbuds, no agenda, just you and your thoughts, creating a still space in your day, where you do nothing but breathe and observe. This isn't about escaping responsibilities. It's about intentionally creating mental space to process, gain insight, and return renewed. Think of it as a deep breath for your mind. Just like a field needs time to rest between crops, your intelligence needs time to integrate ideas, spot patterns, and generate insight. When you disengage, you allow deeper thoughts to surface. And here's the magic. The more you practice stepping back, the more resilient, focused, and clear-minded you become. You stop reacting to life and start responding with wisdom. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, foggy, or disconnected, don't push harder. Pull back, step into stillness, and in that stillness, rediscover the most important voice of all, your own. 4. Lifelong learning. The Stoics' secret to endless growth. Just because you finish school doesn't mean you stop learning. For the Stoics, education was never confined to classrooms or textbooks. It was a daily commitment, a lifelong pursuit of wisdom, not for status or praise, but for freedom and fulfillment. Epictetus once said, "Only the educated are free." What did he mean by this? He wasn't talking about degrees. He meant that a mind trained to question, reflect, and adapt is free. Free from ignorance, free from manipulation, and free from repeating the same mistakes. Think of how a child learns. Everything is new. Every discovery is filled with awe. But somewhere along the way, most adults lose that spark. The responsibilities of life dull our curiosity. We stop asking why and start accepting what is. But the Stoic mindset says, never stop learning, never stop evolving. Lifelong learning isn't about collecting facts. It's about cultivating awareness, seeking understanding, and applying what you learn in how you live, decide, and relate to others. It's about becoming a student of life. In the digital age, knowledge is everywhere. Podcasts, audiobooks, online courses, videos, articles. But true learning isn't passive consumption. It's active engagement. It's reading with intention, reflecting on what resonates and translating it into action. Here's how Stoic lifelong learning looks in real life. After every experience, ask, what did this teach me? Read widely, but more importantly, read deeply. Journal your insights. Turn fleeting thoughts into lasting wisdom. Teach others what you learn, because teaching is a powerful form of learning. Surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking, not just confirm your beliefs. When you choose to learn every day, not out of obligation, but out of wonder, your mind stays sharp, your perspective expands, and your decisions improve. You develop the humility to know you don't know everything, and the courage to explore what you don't yet understand. And most importantly, you become adaptable. In a world that's constantly shifting, the ability to keep learning is not just valuable, it's vital. So let every day become a classroom. Let every person become a teacher. Let every mistake become a lesson. This is the Stoic path, not to know it all, but to keep learning with strength, openness, and humility. 5. Gratitude, the Stoic key to seeing clearly and thinking deeply. At first glance, gratitude seems simple, a polite thank you, a nice gesture, a fleeting warm feeling. But to the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a feeling. It was a lens, a discipline, even a kind of superpower, a way of seeing the world with clarity, depth, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, in his morning reflections, wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." That's not just a motivational quote. It's a Stoic practice, a conscious reset of the mind, every single day. Why? Because the world doesn't make gratitude easy. We are wired to notice what's missing, what's wrong, what needs fixing. And modern life amplifies this. Social media, advertising, news cycles, all pushing us to want more, fear more, complain more. But the Stoic approach flips the script. It says, pause, look again. What's already here? Gratitude grounds us in the present. It interrupts the mental spiral of dissatisfaction. It brings us back to what is, instead of obsessing over what isn't. And in that grounded state, we become wiser, calmer in adversity, more resilient under pressure, and more aware of the richness already surrounding us. Gratitude isn't denial. It's perception. It allows us to see beauty in imperfection, opportunity in struggle, and meaning in the mundane. Here's how to build a Stoic gratitude practice into your daily life. Start each day by naming 3 things you're grateful for, not just big things, but small, overlooked gifts. When something goes wrong, ask, what could be worse? What remains intact? What can I learn from this? End the day reflecting. What moment today gave me perspective, peace, or presence? Gratitude, practiced daily, doesn't just make you happier, it sharpens your mind. It teaches you to observe more, appreciate deeply, and act with thoughtfulness. And here's the paradox. The more grateful you are, the more aware you become of how much there is still to learn, to feel, to grow. Gratitude doesn't close the door to ambition. It opens the heart to wisdom. In a world moving too fast, gratitude slows you down. It connects you to the truth that being alive, right now, is enough of a miracle to begin with. So practice gratitude, not once a year, but every single day. And in doing so, you'll uncover one of the deepest truths the Stoics knew well. Gratitude isn't the end of wisdom. It's the beginning. 6. Mindful observation, the hidden wisdom in what you overlook. We rush through life, eyes open, yet barely seeing. But the Stoics taught us that the most powerful truths don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper, in the rustle of leaves, the curve of a shadow, the rhythm of breath. Mindful observation isn't just noticing. It's about being truly present, fully aware, and deeply engaged with the world around you, not with judgment, but with curiosity. It's the art of seeing things as they are, without assumptions, labels, or distraction. Seneca once reflected, "Time discovers truth, but time can only do so if we're actually paying attention." Ask yourself, when was the last time you looked, really looked, at a tree swaying in the wind, at the wrinkles on someone's face, at the light shifting across your room in the afternoon? These moments seem small, even meaningless, but they contain layers of life that most people never even notice. The Stoics knew that wisdom is hidden in the ordinary. By practicing deliberate observation, we train our minds to slow down, to cut through noise, and to engage with the world as philosophers, seekers of truth. Here's how mindful observation enhances your intelligence. It improves focus by training your attention span in a world that fragments it. It deepens understanding by helping you see nuance, detail, and context. It strengthens emotional intelligence by making you more sensitive to subtle cues in people, situations, and even yourself. And in our hyper-distracted digital age, this power is rare and therefore incredibly valuable. Here's how to begin. Choose one object each day to observe carefully: a leaf, a cup, a cloud. Ask, what do I notice that I've never seen before? What's changing? What's still? Journal what you see, not just what it is, but how it makes you feel, what it reminds you of. Soon you'll begin to see patterns you never noticed. You'll detect emotion behind someone's silence. You'll understand more with fewer words. You'll develop what the Stoics cherished most: perception grounded in presence. Mindful observation is not passive. It's one of the most active forms of attention. And it leads to something profound: reverence for the world you live in. When you truly observe, not with the eyes alone, but with the full presence of your mind, everything becomes a lesson, a mirror, a teacher. So today, slow down, look longer, breathe deeper, and let the world reveal the wisdom it's been holding all along. 7. Active listening, the Stoic practice that builds wisdom in silence. We live in a noisy world, a world of constant talking, posting, reacting. Yet, in all this sound, true listening has become rare, and rare things, the Stoics remind us, are often the most valuable. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This wasn't just clever observation. It was a Stoic command, an invitation to become wise by becoming quiet. Most people don't listen. They wait to speak. They hear noise, but not meaning. In contrast, Stoic listening is active, not passive, not polite, but intentional. It's about being present, fully engaged, and open to the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Here's what active listening demands: silence, both external and internal; curiosity, a desire to understand, not just to respond; discipline, resisting the urge to interrupt, to defend, or to drift away. When you practice active listening, you don't just learn what someone is saying. You learn how they feel, what they value, and where they struggle. You pick up on tone, tension, pauses, and unspoken truths. This kind of listening sharpens your intelligence. It improves your relationships. And most importantly, it transforms you into someone others trust. Not because you always speak wisely, but because you truly hear them. In our modern world, where quick replies are rewarded and depth is often ignored, being a good listener is a radical act. It shows humility, patience, and emotional strength, all central to Stoic virtue. Here's how to start. In your next conversation, make eye contact. Put your phone away, listen, without preparing your reply. Repeat what you hear before responding, not to echo, but to confirm understanding. Ask one deep question instead of offering one quick opinion. You'll notice something remarkable. People will open up. Their defenses will drop. You'll learn more than you imagined, not just about them, but about yourself. Because when you truly listen, you expand your mind, you quiet the ego, you make space for wisdom to enter. The Stoics weren't known for speaking much, but when they did, their words carried weight because they came from minds sharpened by silence and from hearts shaped by deep listening. So the next time someone speaks, whether it's a friend, a stranger, or your own inner voice, don't rush. Lean in, listen deeply. There is more wisdom in their pause than in your reply. 8. Silence, the Stoic refuge that unlocks clarity and inner power. In the modern world, silence is scarce. Notifications buzz, conversations overlap, and content streams 24/7. In this relentless noise, we rarely stop to ask, what am I really thinking, and why? To the Stoics, silence wasn't emptiness, it was strength, a retreat not from life, but into life's deeper layers. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality, and it's in silence that we learn to tell the difference." Silence allows us to listen, not just to others, but to ourselves. In silence, we hear what our anxiety often drowns out: clarity, intuition, deeper truth. Without silence, the mind gets reactive, restless, overwhelmed. But in silence, the mind breathes. We often associate intelligence with speed, fast thinking, fast talking, fast decisions. But the wisest minds pause. They reflect. They understand that speed without direction is chaos, and silence is how we rediscover direction. Here's how silence strengthens intelligence. It calms emotional storms, so logic can lead. It creates mental space to untangle thoughts. It brings forward ideas buried beneath the noise. Silence also reveals the truth of our inner world, what we're avoiding, suppressing, or misunderstanding. And that truth, while sometimes uncomfortable, is the beginning of transformation. You don't need a monastery to find silence. You just need intention. The Stoics didn't flee to mountains. They found silence within. Try this. Begin your morning with 5 minutes of stillness. No phone, no stimulation. Just breathing. Walk without music. Let nature be the soundtrack. Pause before reacting. In that gap, wisdom enters. The more you seek silence, the more resilient your mind becomes. You're no longer controlled by every stimulus, every fear, every opinion. You begin to respond instead of react. And in those quiet moments, you'll often hear something remarkable. Your own inner voice, once buried, now clear. The Stoics knew that strength wasn't just about enduring pain. It was about creating space between impulse and action, emotion and response. And silence is that space. So amidst the madness of the world, find your moment. Go inward. Listen to what's beneath the noise. Because in silence, you don't lose the world. You finally start to understand it. 9. Diverse interactions. The Stoic gateway to broader intelligence. It's easy to stay in our comfort zones, to surround ourselves with people who look like us, think like us, and agree with us. But the Stoics knew true growth happens when you step outside the echo chamber. Every person carries a world inside them, a collection of stories, struggles, cultures, beliefs, and wisdom. And when we interact with people from different backgrounds, we don't just meet them. We meet parts of life we've never known. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." That improvement doesn't always come from experts or philosophers. Sometimes it comes from a barista's story about their hometown, a colleague with a different worldview, or an elder recalling a lesson from 40 years ago. These moments, if we're present, expand our intelligence far beyond books or solitary reflection. They sharpen empathy, challenge assumptions, and teach us how vast, rich, and complex the human experience truly is. Here's what Stoics. Learning through diverse interaction looks like listening to someone whose beliefs differ from yours, not to argue, but to understand. Asking open-ended questions instead of giving advice. Sharing your truth with humility while remaining open to theirs. In every interaction, there is a potential bridge to deeper knowledge, broader compassion, and greater insight. The Stoic mind doesn't reject difference, it welcomes it as a teacher. And in today's divided world, this kind of openness is a rare form of courage. It means trading certainty for curiosity, judgment for inquiry, and isolation for connection. You don't need to travel the world to engage with diversity. It's in the next conversation you have, if you're willing to go beyond the surface. Here's a small challenge. Speak to someone new this week. Ask them a meaningful question. Listen fully. Let their experience reshape your mental map, because every human you meet is a universe, and the Stoic learner understands. To know yourself, you must also seek to know others. 10. Curiosity over judgment, the Stoic mindset that unlocks limitless growth. We live in a world of instant opinions, likes, dislikes, swipes left, swipes right. One glance and we decide, this is good, that is bad, I agree, I disagree. But in the rapid fire of judgments, something essential gets lost: understanding. The Stoics believed that wisdom begins where judgment ends and curiosity begins. Epictetus taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This simple line is a challenge. If you've already made up your mind, how can you grow? Judgment shuts doors. Curiosity opens them. Every person, every idea, every moment, even the ones that confuse or offend us, holds a lesson. But you'll only find it if you ask, why does this trigger me? What can I learn here? What don't I yet understand? Curiosity is not passivity. It's active mental courage, a willingness to admit you don't know and to explore without rushing to conclusions. The Stoics were not afraid of being wrong. They were afraid of staying ignorant. Here's how to practice Stoic curiosity. Pause when you feel judgment rising. Ask, what's another way to look at this? Replace, I already know this with, what else could this teach me? Be as curious about people you disagree with as you are about your closest friends. Curiosity also applies inward. What are your patterns? Your biases? Your blind spots? Instead of judging yourself for them, study them. Become the student of your own mind. And here's the paradox. The more curious you are, the less afraid you become. Because curiosity dissolves fear, not by denying uncertainty, but by exploring it. What you understand, you no longer need to fear. In a divided world, curiosity is radical. It bridges the gap between us and them, between certainty and growth. It allows wisdom to flow in, where ego once built a wall. So the next time you're tempted to label, to reject, to close the door, stop. Get curious. Ask, explore, and stay open. Because the Stoic knows, the moment you stop judging, you start evolving. And the world becomes not something to control, but something to learn from, endlessly.